What is going on, y'all? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com. Welcome to week 5 of the building update series. So, what has gone different this week? We traveled quite a bit this past week, so that kind of skewed things a little bit. I was obviously eating my macros the entire time with as much flexibility as I've been allowing myself here lately, but it was coming from a lot more packaged foods like the carnivore snacks. Had a shipment of carnivore snacks come in the other day, and not gonna lie, y'all, it's hard to stay on top of my macros when those are in town because I literally can eat 5 bags in a sitting, and I did. But my macros are a little high that day, so we'll just pull that up so I can kind of show y'all a breakdown. Here is my chronometer dashboard here, and as I mentioned in the last video, I've been kind of trying to lean on the lower end of that caloric spectrum that I've been trying to target here in the building phase as of late. So you can see with this energy history, just kind of a high level view, you can see I was averaging, 5,500 or so. And then as of late, I've been trending that down. So like the other day it was 3,200 calories, 3,600 calories, 3,300 calories, 3,300 calories. So kind of just on the lower end of that spectrum, still north of 3,000 calories, which I think is pretty well close to my maintenance. So trying to be above that. But on the lower end of that 30,000 to 5,500 calorie range that I'm trying to target. And with that, I'm trying to get, again, at least 200 grams of protein and usually around 250 plus grams of dietary fat. As far as the weight, you can kind of see how this mirrors a little bit here. This blank was when I was doing that fast, which is corresponding to that drop in weight there at 185. But since then, it's pretty well leveled off right around 190, 191 or so. So as my calories were higher here, my weight peaked, and then as I've been kind of on the lower end of that spectrum, my weight has dropped down a little bit to where I'm averaging 188 to 189, 190, 191, somewhere in there. And that intake for me, like I'm still hungry at that intake, but I know that it's ample food. I'm getting ample nutrition in. I'm not in a deficit by any means. My body has all the building blocks necessary to grow more lean tissue. So my goal is to kind of stay within that range and just lean out a little bit, but not drop below that 3,000 calorie mark. So that's more so than, trying to put myself in a deficit and lean out. I'm just taking what calories that I have, what adipose tissue I have, and using it to build more lean tissue so that I can improve my overall composition. No need for me to be like in a super aggressive surplus right now like I was on the tail end of that reverse diet. As far as the composition goes, let's just pull this up here. So this is a macro calculator that I've built out, and I'll just plug in my stats currently. So age 32, body weight 191. As far as body fat goes right now, I just did my personal Inbody, and that put me at 17.2, but I went to more of a professional Inbody yesterday, and that had me at 13.9% body fat on that Inbody. Realistically, based off of my weight and composition, I'm probably around 15%. So I'll just put this in at 16% so we can kind of be on the upper end of that. So we'll just assume I'm 16% body fat at 191 pounds, activity multiplier of 1.55, and that's going to put my supposed maintenance intake at 29.25. So again, I know that my maintenance intake is a little bit higher than that, but I mean, it's hard to know within a calorie. So ballpark 3,000 calories, that's pretty freaking close to what this calculator is estimating me at here. So if I want to be at about 12% body fat on the low range of that building phase, that would put me at a weight of about 180 pounds. So generally speaking, I do not want to dip below that 180 pound mark while in the building phase, because I do not really want to go below 12% body fat. So that's kind of my rough targets there. Now, I do have a couple physical events coming up in the near future. I've got a 50-mile march at the end of August. I don't want to be carrying unnecessary body fat around for that. So I don't really see myself going into a deficit for that, but I do plan on walking a little bit more, kind of conditioning my feet for that 50-mile march. And in doing so, my caloric expenditure is going to likely increase by default. So if I maintain the intake pretty similar to what I am now, I've got no doubt that I would probably drop down to about 180 pounds while consuming the same food that I am. And that's kind of what I would like to happen there. Drop a little bit of excess body fat, get closer to that 12% range while still eating north of 3,000 calories. I've also got hunting season coming up in the not too distant future, which means I'm going to be putting in a lot of miles at elevation. So I'm going to try and be preparing for that coming out of the preparation for that 50-mile march. So more trail running and just more technical, hiking and things of that nature. So in preparation for hunting season. So those are what I've got going on kind of in the background of the consistent daily weight training that I'm doing now. Still rocking the full body split, still feeling good with that. I feel like my body's still responding well to it. I am going to be getting some new pieces of equipment before long, one of which being a belt squat. So that'll be a nice addition to my workout routine. I can kind of just give me some more options as far as different movements I can incorporate. But all in all, feeling pretty good. These pictures that I'm throwing up on the screen now were just taken. And like I said, I've been doing the trail running for the past 3 weeks or so now, just simply, once or twice a week. And honestly, I feel like I've tightened up a little bit, maybe not much, probably not much at all, but I feel a little bit tighter. I don't know if you'd be able to tell it from these pictures, but this is pretty much keeping these calories on the lower end of that spectrum, incorporating the once a week trail run of no more than like a mile and a half. So not really much more of an increase in calories overall there, but just simply more movement, more activity, and just feeling good about getting outside. So that's what I've got going on from a training standpoint, from a macro standpoint. As far as the foods themselves go, apart from that carnivore snacks indulgence, been pretty much keeping it simple with ground beef and eggs, and you can't really go wrong there. So ground beef and eggs, a full keto brick a day. While we're traveling, we do incorporate more, coffees with heavy cream, like while on the road. But I've accounted for that in the macros. I'm just not weighing that out myself, so it may be a little bit of a variance there. But pretty much keto brick a day, ground beef and eggs is the base, and the occasional deviation from that will be, like a steak or something of that nature, which I'll probably start throwing in something like that throughout the weekend. Honestly, while we were traveling, we prepped a lot of our food, had it ready to go in Tupperware, and just heated it up, similar to what I was doing throughout my prep. And as strange as it sounds, I really kind of liked resorting back to that simplicity. Like, it just takes away the decision fatigue of figuring out what to eat, what the macros are. Like, if it's prepped and ready to go and you know what the macros are and all you got to do is heat it up and eat it, like, I've got so many things going on around my life right now. Having that question answered for is very, very beneficial for my mind right now. So I may honestly just continue that going forward, having things prepped and ready to go, and then maybe just allowing myself a one-off meal during the weekend, which may be something that I throw on the grill, or something a little bit more festive that I cook with Crystal, keto pizza night, maybe Friday nights or something like that. But all in all, keeping the food super simple, keeping the macros on point, allowing myself that flux in calories, but trying to stay within that range, of 3,000 to 5,500, basically, allowing myself 1 or 2 high days a week, but more often than not, kind of resorting back to that lower end of the spectrum towards 3,500 calories a day. So that's what we got going on there. There's the food, there's the macros, there's the training, there's the progress pics, and I will keep y'all posted. So keep rocking along, and we will talk to you next time.